We're here with Councilwoman at Large, City of Alliance, Julie Jakmides. Quite a meeting tonight.
It was.
A lot of differences of opinion, but it was all well ordered. People were respectful. Could you give the viewers the Stark County Political Report video a summary of why we had the meeting in the first place? And of course, you're the chairperson of this committee.
Yes, we've had a couple landlords come to our Board of Zoning Appeals requesting variances to allow more than two unrelated people to live in a single-family R1 district dwelling. And we didn't necessarily have any ambition of changing the zoning code tonight, but we needed to have a meaningful discussion to decide if council wanted to reaffirm that that is the way the zoning code should be, or if we needed to change it or add more teeth to it or anything like that. And I think there were probably 15 people that spoke tonight: landlords, realtors, property owners, Mount Union. Everybody was here to give their opinion, and I think it was all very well received by council, and we're not going to make any changes to the zoning code as of tonight.
But the meeting was instructive, and one that all city council persons throughout Stark County, maybe even beyond, ought to take a look at, because there were some strong feelings on both sides of the issue. You and your co-council person, who's chairman of the committee dealing with the animal care issue, Larry Dordia, laid out in the beginning what your expectation was in terms of behavior. That was an effective device that the two of you used to set the framework for an orderly meeting.
Absolutely. We weren't going to turn anybody away who wanted to speak, but at the same time, this needed to be a professional discussion. And I think it was. There was one guy who stood up and made some pretty wild accusations, but I think we put those to rest pretty quickly. So it was a great discussion. Lots of different characters in the room, and they all added something.
You're finishing your second term as Alliance City Council person?
Yes, I am running for a third term this fall.
Okay. And just looking back over your two terms, what are some of the standout factors in those 2 years?
I think the best thing I've probably done as a council person was to spark creation of the Alliance Jobs Fair that has been an annual event since my first term. That's a great event for both the businesses in Alliance, all of the employers, and the employees. That was a good one. I also was chair of the Streets and Alleys Committee in my first term, and we took a very common sense approach to streets that year. We didn't give money to each individual ward council person and say, okay, you decide how you want to use this. Instead, we followed the engineer's recommendation of where the worst streets were, and we paved those streets. And I think that was a great solution to prior problems. We're addressing the worst streets, we're not playing favorites, and it was common sense government, honestly.
Okay.
Those are probably the two highlights, I think.
Okay.
Well, I also sponsored the ordinance dealing with vacant property registration and bonds on foreclosed properties, and that I think will give Alliance a lot more leverage in the future when we have banks from way out of town come in and foreclose on properties and kick the residents out without actually dealing with the property. Then we have all these blighted properties, and I think there are 1,300 some vacant properties in Alliance, and hopefully that ordinance will cut back on those eventually. Probably not right away, but it'll, just like Youngstown has done and Canton has done, it'll give us some leverage in the future to deal with those properties more adequately.
Is Alliance participating at all in the land bank program to get funds to demolish decrepit properties?
Yes, I want to say we got more than $60,000 from the Stark County Land Bank. I'm not sure the exact number on that, but I know that we definitely got some funds, and that we also got some matching funds because we put some money into that as well, thanks to Treasurer Zumbar.
And going forward, presuming, and of course the Stark County Political Report is saying that Julie Jakmides will be elected as probably the top vote getter, which I think you have been in your prior two elections. So let's think that the Stark County Political Report's a good prognosticator, and you're going to be councilman for a third council person for a third term. What is your hope for the future?
I think a lot of that will depend on how this year goes. The issues that I've addressed in previous terms were usually issues that were brought to my attention. So hopefully I'll have new ideas that come from the constituents of what they want me to address in my future terms.
Well, thank you, Councilwoman at Large, Julie Jakmides, City
Thank
of
you.
Alliance.